Evening, Bucs fans. It is AJ Turner. We are here at the Bucs Report Aftermath. We are here just to break down our sorrows and troubles for the Bucs because that's what's been trending for the past few weeks. We got Slick in the house right here. He's gonna bring it in with his wonderful sensation of logic, while I bring up I have the little John energy. So
yeah, you do. You have that little John energy, baby. You got that going.
you got to. But after say 6 hours of sleeping on it, how do you feel? What is your lot? We got out of the emotion phase.
Yeah, I'm less emotional about it. I can see for a bit more what it is. And you made some in the post game. You made some very valid points. Originally, I was quite tough on Brady, and I'm not saying I'm not going to be tough on Brady because he still deserved an ass kicking in that game as well. You know, he even said himself, you can't throw that, you can't give up the ball 5 times and expect to win a football game. It just doesn't happen, especially against a team that's got 9 wins at that point in time. So, but the points that you were making about them going into turtle mode and just kind of like not going back with that play action, not going with these motions, and you know you could argue in that beginning of the first half of that game, they probably did the what you call it, step back and pass shit once in a blue moon. It was like it's very rare. Then it was like the really rare shit was what was working last time. So it was kind of like, well, okay, well, why aren't you doing what got you here in the first place? Why are you reverting to what you did before, which didn't work? So that was complete. You are absolutely right in that. When it comes to the defense and they play off, I just think that's part of that thing that they do to kind of change things up. And maybe it's maybe it's something to do with the front, and it just adds a bit of confusion. I don't particularly like it, but at the end of the day, I'm not an NFL defensive coordinator, so I don't really have a fucking leg to stand on. But it's just not my vibe. It's just not the way my bread's buttered. But you made some absolute valid points, and I have to agree with every single one of them. Like, Byron did drop the ball when it came to play calling later on. I mean, yeah, a lot of it's on Tom Brady for coughing up those balls. At least what it is. Occasionally you're going to have your quarterback's going to cough up the ball. It's just unfortunate it was against a team that we, didn't really need this to happen to.
No, you're right. Well, and this is what I told people, because a lot of people were still saying, well, look at the turnovers. Then, so this is how I gave them the analogy. Let's say you are the Bengals defense. In the beginning, the reason why the Bengals defense was caught off guard was because they weren't anticipating the Bucs to pass. They weren't anticipating certain plays and schemes. So they got taken off their game, which would lead to confusion.
That's cool. Best game Byron called all year for that half.
And that was still average.
Tick, tick, tick. Yeah. Tick, 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 tick. Yeah, but against this pioneering defense, they're good. It was really good to watch. And then the defense dug their heels in and we're like, wow, 17-3. This is amazing.
Yep. And if you look at it, the Bucs offense was going up and down in the first half with ease. It's when he got into I tell people the first 4 to 5 plays were passes. So now linebackers cannot just load the box and assume something's going to happen. So then they had to respect the run because the run was effective that way. But then I tell people after that stupid ass punt, this fake punt out, which was dumb, the way that they could have got the momentum back was at that point. The problem was Byron panicked and said, okay, we don't want to end up losing this game. So we need to hold on to this lead. And that's the worst kind of logic to play, because then I tell somebody this: if you know a play is going to happen on defense, what's going to happen? Turnovers. And I get it. I tell people those were some of the decisions that Brady made were poor. I said, but you forget a few of those picks, he got hit on one of them. So
then
when he got stripped, I said, Brady isn't the only quarterback that fumbles like that. I
Yeah,
said,
no, and you're absolutely. It's just unfortunately it was four. If it had just been the one interception and the one thing, we'd all forget about it because it was like,
yep,
okay, well, quarterbacks hold the ball like this, it's
yep,
gonna pop out. If he does this, he ain't throwing it. So the time he realized that, like, people don't understand, like, we watch things in slow motion, we get the benefit of the doubt, we get this. When
exactly.
you're stepping back to pass and you're like, oh shit, I gotta make a football play. You take that step forward and someone swipes it. It's gonna happen. Look, our linebackers do it to people all the time, and they do it to running backs who should
Yep,
have ball security. Quarterbacks
and
don't have ball security; they pop out all the time. So yeah, that's not the big. The one to Lenny, that was just dumb. Maybe something went wrong. Maybe there was a bit of rain. Ball was a bit greasy and it just slipped because he has that gloved hand, and sometimes the glove can kind of work against a wet ball or something like that. It can make it more slippery in the hands. Maybe it was something like that. They were uncharacteristic, but at the end of the day, like you said, the one where you get hit, the strip, they were anyone that can happen to any single
right,
quarterback in the NFL. So it's and then that you had the
right.
actual
Most
one.
quarterbacks are gonna fumble again. This isn't Big Ben. This isn't Brady has never been like a big quarterback that where or Josh Allen's of the world. He's a frail guy, and that's gonna happen. But I told people, look to my point. When you know the plays and they went back to turtle mode, that's why they started getting those 3-and-outs. That's why it didn't help, and that's why the turnover started to happen because there was no rhythm, and the defense, Bengals defense, knew what to expect. I'm guarantee you, they had a sigh of relief, like, oh shit, they're going back to something that we know, and that's where you can clearly tell Byron was trying to sit on the league, and that's what pisses me off. You're not up enough for this team,
Not against this team.
not against this team. So that's why when I looked at it again, I told people from a logical standpoint, I said, now just think of it. If a defense knows what you're doing, what is their job? To try to turn the ball over, to try to, I'm like, that's just football 1-on-1, guys. Again, the coach's responsibility is to make changes. We didn't see that. We didn't see them come out and make any kind of adjustments. You didn't, again, they asked a Byron. No, what I was pissed off today, so slick is yesterday, the media was really giving Gio Bernard a very hard
Yeah,
time.
I saw that. That was cool.
And I was like, okay, where is this same type of energy to Bowles and Byron when they're in there? It's not only a handful of journalists have the balls and courage to really call them out. For the most part, they'll just ask timid questions. Well, can you tell me what went wrong today, Bowles? You know damn well you know what went wrong. I would be like, Coach Byron, why is it that you went away from um plays that were effective, and don't tell me they were going to catch on? You don't run away from plays until it actually catches on. And a lot of coaches psych themselves out like that. When something is going so well, their main assumption is, oh, but they're going to figure it out soon. No, until they stop it, that's when you adjust.
Mm-hmm.
Why did we go from that? Because Byron got scared. Bowles, how the hell you get cute on? I can understand if you go for it on 4th-and-1 and you and Brady has the ball, but let's be real. I don't think Gio Bernard was going to get anywhere with that punt anyway. With that fake run, they had it. They had it. It wasn't going to happen. That's just something you don't do. If I would say this, if we were like 8-2, go for it or some shit like that. But
Mm-hmm.
no, this was not a time to get cute and creative. And you see
I
both.
personally did. Me personally, I didn't mind it because at the end of and then it's only because like I've never seen him take risks, and it
Yeah,
was kind of nice for him to kind of like, okay, I want to go and get some more points. It was more aggressive. However, the
yep,
problem with these things is we look at it from hindsight, and that's an easy thing to get. Oh, well, if it comes off, you're a genius. If it doesn't come off, you're an asshole. That's just always been the way it is. You call a fourth down play deep in your own half, and it doesn't come off, everyone's got like in disbelief going, why did you call that? You call it and it turns into a big gain or it resets the downs. You're like, yeah, well, he's a fucking dude, and that's football. That's going to come with the territory of making those calls. You're an
yeah.
asshole if they're wrong, and the savior if they come
Mm-hmm.
off.
And
Uh,
I want to answer Chris Cole's question. He asked a really good question. He said, "Why pass on 1st and 20?" You know why? Because for the most part, if you get a creative play going, you want to establish rhythm and momentum. You don't want to do anything predictable, Chris, because if you do a HB draw, they're gonna anticipate you running the rock, and now you're staring down at a 2nd and 18 or 2nd and 17. Now you're adding more pressure because
Mhm.
the defense is gonna expect a pass on the second down. Why not do this? Because let's say this, Chris. What if they do a pass on first down and it's a brilliant slot pass or a crossing route and they gain 13 yards? It's 2nd and 7. Now they might assume
Playbook
that you're
wide
past
open.
the second down. So now a HB draw on that second down will be effective because now they're going to be playing the pass. Most defenses play the pass on second down. You run it up that you do a HB draw and catch them off guard.
Yep.
That's why, and you have the tools, Chris. The Bucs have the receiving tools to pass. They are a pass first team,
Yep.
not run. We've seen it. They don't have the line like last year. They don't have it. So you use the best of your abilities to your advantage, Chris. That's why you pass on 1st and 20.
Yeah, you kind of have to. I mean, you could probably do things like play action that might fool them a little bit, but I think, to be honest, I think what Chris is kind of looking at is, if I'm a defense and I see 1st and 20, I know it's a pass. But again, to your point, you kind of need it to be a pass because you need to get yards. Not it's
Mm-hmm.
Look, there's an argument for and against for everything. That's what makes this game so much fun, because there is
Yep.
no right answer. Like Chris Cole's belief in not passing on, not passing on that is, as long as you can back it up and justify it, then it's fine.
Yep.
And what you've just said at the same time is completely justifiable too. And that's the beauty of this game: is there's a million ways to skin a cat in this game.
Yep. And
There is
Chris,
no right way. There's definitely the wrong way, because obviously
yep. Yes.
we
But
see what happens when it goes wrong.
right.
But
Yep. And Chris, you go by what best suits you. Chris, I'll ask you, do you really think the Bucs are a solid run team on that? Because as my man Slick just said, they are going to assume a pass. But here's the thing. For the most part, on when it's 1st and long or any 2nd and long, what do most defenses do? They go to cushion coverage. If I see that they're in cushion
yeah.
coverage,
They're going to camp on the 10.
yep, if they're going to camp on that, that's where a beautiful slant route comes in handy. And
Because
if
they're
you
going
got
to come down for it. So you hit, what, a 5 yard slant, hit him in stride. He's going to get 7 minimum.
Slick, this is
7
why
minimum.
we talking to a defensive guy right here. He knows the in and outs. Chris, I'm telling you, got my guy passing. When you have a team with all the receivers the Bucs have, it's a sin not to pass, because here's another thing: you might catch somebody slipping. Who's expecting you to take a deep shot?
Yeah. Yep.
It's when you play predictable football, Chris. That's why the Bucs are in the predicament they're in. When you play predictable football, that second and then who's to say if they run on first down on 1st and 20, they even get extra yards? What if they get knocked back because they already know what now you're looking at a 2nd and 24? You got to change it up. You have to change it up.
Absolutely. And a very famous coach. I mean, Coach Bobby Bowden.
Mm-hmm.
Bless him. He had I read a book on a book about him, and he had a phrase that he always used. This is like a coaching book I got hold of, and one of his most famous phrases to young coordinators or young coaches is, "You stop them. If you're the offense or whatever, you use your bread and butter until it doesn't work. Then you have to go and find something else. As a defense, your job is to stop their bread and butter, make them do what they don't want to do, because you're putting them in their uncomfortable zone. If
Yep.
you're very good at what you do, you'll be pretty hard to fucking stop." And that's why you sometimes see a defense take down a team that's really, really good, because they figured out how to beat that defense. If that offense or that defense or what have you.
Yeah.
All about those matchups and learn. There's so much more to it than that. But basically, when they're doing their scout, they'll go, "This is what the Buccaneers like to do. This is
Yep.
what they like to do on first down. This is what they like to do on second, and this is what they like to do on first in a bus ride. This is what they do when they're backed up. This is what they do. These are their tendencies." The smartest players on that defense will know those off by heart. They'll know at least a few of them. and formation. So when they see it, they'll go, they're doing this. And when you've become so predictable what your play calling is, it makes it easier to defend because you're like, oh, they're going to do this. Oh, they're going to do this. This is all they ever run when they're backed up. This is all they ever run when they're faced with a penalty and they've got to come back. This is what they do. And so it becomes easier. Of course, you still got to stop them, but it becomes easier. So kill their bread and butter, or make sure your use your bread and butter until it doesn't work. Is basically what it is.
Yep, and that's the whole point. That's why sports is literally 80% mental, 20% physical, because you have to outthink someone, and it's a psychological thing. Again, I think with guys like Byron and Bowles, for them, when something is working so much, it's almost too good to be true, where it's like, oh, okay, well, what we don't want now is for them to catch on. Not necessarily. If you keep sticking to that, as you just said, you could
force me to change my game plan. Force me to change it, because right now you can't fucking stop it. And until you stop it, I'm going to keep using it, and I'm going to use it until you give up.
And then if you think you're going to stop it, I'm going to have an extra ace in the hole where, okay, this is what they're going to try to do to stop this. I'm going to hit you with something else now where I'm just going to make you think all over the place like, oh shit, we don't know what to do. We just got to pray that we can get a stop. Once you have a coordinator saying pray to get a stop, that's how you want to that's how you beat defenses. The problem with the Bucs, when you become predictable, as we always see, it also deflates your guys. You can't tell me. I can see it as someone who played the game. I can see the frustrations in the players' eyes. I can see the frustration in their body language, their tone. You can just tell where they're like, oh, like here we go again. Look at this shit. I love when Carlton Davis, when they had, we didn't talk about this yesterday, but there were a few calls against the Bucs that were very terrible. They're really starting to target Carlton Davis when he does a lot of man jamming. He's doing it the right way. I just think that they like to call certain things, like they called a face mask, but he didn't even hit him. And they missed a really key holding against JTS. When Higgins scored that touchdown, if you go back and look at his slick, the guy literally wrapped his arms around JTS and slammed him. So it's for the coaches just have to understand when it's working, keep going until they stop it. And even if they look like they're going to stop it, that's where you always adjust to something else to go, okay, well, if they're going to do this, then we definitely going to do that. As you stated, Slick, you always say it. I think they need to listen to you. Use the entire fucking field. Again, that second entire half, if you saw it, every route, it was damn near they were just.
Dude, you don't need if you're a defender and you play the defense I would play against the Bucs is cover free. The reason being is my cover or even cover two, but we'll go with cover three, and I'll flip it between cover two and cover three, and then I can sky it and high it and whatever the fuck. I can play around with it. Reason being is my flats are very, very. There's no width to them. They stop at the hash marks because we don't attack. When I'm talking about the kind of stuff that I like from an offense, if I had a quarterback that could throw anywhere, I want a super speedy guy right on as my X, and then my Y or my F or whatever you want to call the slot guy, whatever you chalk it up. I always tend to try and use the same letters, so always people can get confused and have that underneath route, but like it's literally following the tail of the other guy. That means you're pulling defenders away, and they're panicking on the fast guy. So they're like, oh shit, and then it's Scotty Miller flying. Just Scotty, you're pretty much a decoy on this, but hey, if you get open, we'll get it to you. Also, on top of that, Mike Evans, you're going to be in the slot. A heavily detached slot. You are just going to run straight up and you're going to just hit that corner for me. And if that's not there, I'm having a crossing route from my tight end on the other side. So now I've got 3 people all in one arc of my vision. So I don't have to look for people. They just appear in my vision.
Yep.
And I can, if I really need to, I can have a dump. I can have a fake release, or I can have a fake chip or a chip, depending on what's going to happen on the play. I'll turn around to my running back and say, hey, dude, on the play, you're going to come up. Soon as if you read that our cat is struggling with the block, go and help him out. if once you square them up, because that's what a double team is. What people don't understand about double teams, it's not just two guys on one guy. No, 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 no. What happens on a double team is one guy is trying to get what's called a square block, where they get him. Like it's mono on mono. He's got him. You can't go no fucking where. Two guys establish that, and then the other guy peels off to the second level. Instead of peeling off to the second level, you peel off for a route under, just something nice, hit the flat. You've got bing, 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 bing. You've got four reads in the same section of field. And you know what I would do with it? Just to even add insult to injury, I'd always use it on the field side. So the side that's more open. So if I'm on the left hash, we're attacking the right-hand side of the field. More space to exploit means that guys have to make up more yards.
Amen. You're right. And I think in this offense, they should always have one receiver having an under route to be Brady's blanket. So just in case, if he wants to get that ball out quick, that's what he can do. So and it always should be someone with for sure hands. Okay. Like you said, if Scotty Miller's a decoy, okay, shit, that's not gonna work. Evans is being doubled, that's not gonna work. But I got Russell Gage right here. I got Chris Godwin right here. Boom. They need that. The problem is, like you said, they always it's almost everything's a damn near a long go route. It's like Byron.
You've seen the meme where it just shows Byron left just play HB dive one side, HB dive left hand side, double screens, and then fucking send everyone.
Yeah, and
that's how it feels, you know. We know that there's more to it than that, but it feels that's when we say it's vertical, we don't mean that they're just running straight down the field. We know that there's a little turn here and a little turn there and a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but they're all deep developing routes where mostly it's probably about 8 yards where anything's going to happen, where they maneuver anyway. It's straight up for 8 yards, and then they may start bending, turning, cutting maybe. I've not seen too much hard cutting from this team. That's what I liked about this last drive. There was a lot more cuts in that drive. In that first half, there was so much more creativity. I was actually scared. Wow, Bowles can call this. This is amazing stuff. And I know it's not like revolutionary, but we started to look like the Bucs of old. Yeah. They could not stop us, and the defense could stop them. And it was like, okay. And then all of a sudden, it goes to shit. And yeah, the interceptions, the turnovers, and like you said, we can definitely put one turnover 100% on Brady, and we can definitely put on the fake the handoff that never was on Brady, and we can also put the fucking coaching choice to go. I mean, that, in my opinion, your special teams guy should be fucking fired. That's inexcusable to me. I'm like, how did you not let the one guy, like even Giovanni Bernard said it was a communication thing, but then they asked him a little bit when he was being badgered. And when they asked him a bit more, he just took, and I think he was just giving them the answer they wanted. He went, yeah, I fucked up. Yeah, I fucked up. Yeah, I fucked up.
Yep.
I don't know if he did fuck up, because
I don't think he did.
I don't think somebody told him, you are getting the fucking ball, because when someone says that to you, ball's coming to you, boss. You're ready for it, because you're licking your lips. You're like, we're fucking having this. That's how I'm looking at it, you know?
Yeah.
He was like, oh, fuck.
Right. You could clearly see that there was no communication. I don't care what anybody says. He can say it was on him. No, he didn't know what was going on.
He was saying the team thing, because he knows that he's an expendable player.
Yeah.
And he knows if he wants to get another contract, not with this team or any other team, you start bitching about coaching staff in the locker room when you're. I'll be honest, Tim, because I actually really like Giovanni Bernard as a personality, and used to draft him back in the day when he was a Cincinnati Bengals running back, because he was pretty darn solid. Wasn't lights out or anything, but he was a solid number 2 guy to have.
Yeah.
For sure. And if you want, his career now is at the point where he's going to be a mentor, he's going to be a backup's backup, or like the third guy, the third down guy. Yeah.
Yep.
If he turns around as special teams guy, he turns around and says, my special teams coach didn't tell me shit, I'm pissed off that I made the fucking play, he ain't getting another contract. So he said what he had to say.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
It was a lot of politics in this, because again, we see what's going on. We know we're not saying we know everything, but we're seeing what's put out there on the field, because you can't, a lot of people want to blame the players. I'm like, the players, if you look at it, a lot of the players who were here last year were producing.
Yeah.
It's not the simple fact. It's different because again, and I'm calling Shannon now. He finally acknowledged it somewhat where basically he was like, I'm sick of everybody blaming Bowles and Byron, but not Brady. And it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Everybody is gives Brady a lot of shit. What are you talking about? It's people not giving Bowles and Byron enough accountability because it's like Shanahan. Shannon. You act like that coaching. There's a reason why they're there because I called out Shannon. I said, "Do you think you would be the guy you were without Shanahan helping you and developing you and helping you know your strengths and weaknesses?" And it's like you too had a Hall of Fame quarterback helping you. You had a Hall of Fame running back. You had a line. You had Rod Smith. So it takes a team, which is coaches and players, to do it. Again, Shannon Sharp is just talking for ratings. He just wants to be the badger of,
Oh, for sure. I mean,
you
and he
know,
has to be because you've got one guy who's like the biggest Brady supporter. You kind of have to be the yin to the yang because that's kind of what the show's about, isn't it? It's they're meant to have disagreements. I mean, the only time you see them agree is when they agree on social injustice and shit like that. That's
right.
the only time they agree. Other than that, they will both basically both go. It's like their MJ and LeBron discussion. One's a LeBron James guy, one's a MJ guy,
MJ
and that's
guy.
fine. And it's all part of the show and whatever. I
Yeah.
would not be surprised when Shannon when Thingy told him to put his glasses back on and all that shit went down, and we are all like, "Fucking, he went too." A lot of people saying he went too far. I wouldn't be surprised after that show. They're sat there laughing.
Oh, I agree. They
I mean,
probably
they were going, "Dude, you cut me fucking deep there, brother." And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." Because I
right.
think the respect that they have for each other goes upon leaps and bounds.
Oh,
Personally, the way I
absolutely. They needed that shit. But what gets me is certain fans that are just falling
people
for
eat
it.
up, feed off it, yeah, and that's the problem. I see what you mean because some people will take what Shannon's saying as gospel, like that he's preach
Right.
preach, but then you're not going to change. It's like politics, dude. You're not going to change a right wing guy's opinion that the left is the better way. You're not going to get a blue guy to follow the red guy. We're divided. You know,
We
there's some
are.
people. I always say like opinions are on a spectrum. Some people are here and some people are there, and those are the ones you can't. It's the ones in the middle that don't quite know and they're quite easy to they could shift. Those are the kinds of people that these people are targeting. They're trying to get those people to jump ship or jump on my ship. Let's go on the Brady going against the Brady bandwagon.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And we know that Tom Brady's having a down year, and maybe he wants to be that. He wants to have the cliff. He wants to be the next person who calls the cliff. Maybe that's it because you think of your nuggets of people do this, yeah, they do it on purpose. You get draft analysts calling guys superstar studs before they even put on an NFL jersey.
Yep.
Um, and I can't stand draft analysts. I hate draft analysts because if they're so fucking good, and I'm talking about the ones that don't go on network TV, so the
Yeah.
ones that don't get paid a lot of money, why aren't you a scout for an NFL team then? If you're so fucking good that you know everything, because that's how they come across to me,
Oh,
you
absolutely.
know everything. I don't know shit when it comes. Like, do you know what I do when I do my fucking mock drafts? I look at what everyone else is saying, go for the middle fucking answer.
Yeah.
It's fucking easy. It's like fucking look. What I would love to do is like we get them in the UK too. We get a few draft analysts. What I want them to do is grade players in the UK and go grade these players for me. I'll give you five DBs, five each positional group. I want you to grade them, talk about them, and you don't have nothing because you can't go and look at what other people are saying about them.
Right.
That's the thing. You've got one person who probably can scout a few people who can scout really well. They're the paid TV guys, and the ones that are trying to make it are either learning how to scout or
Yep.
they're just copying and fucking pasting and changing the wording to make it look like it's theirs.
I
And I
agree. I agree. And the thing is, sometimes they're going off and they base it off of other bullshit philosophy. And it's like, stop that. Just because it worked here doesn't mean it's gonna work in this game. Do you know how many people I used to tell it that certain football guys are not gonna be what you think they are because it's gonna be different? Well, no, look at what he did here. Yeah, that's fucking college. He was running
Mhm.
over a bunch of freshmen and sophomores. When he gets to the fucking league, what do you think is gonna happen if he doesn't know how to chip the block? Because I tell somebody nowadays as a running back, if you don't know how to block, you're expendable. because you're not well rounded. If if you don't know how to secure the rock and you don't know how to do certain things, you can have all the speed in the world, but that doesn't mean shit. How many guys we know were running backs? Remember Charles Sims on the Bucs had plenty
Mhm.
of speed, did not know how to use it, and he
Yeah,
danced around too much.
there, there,
So
there's too many players in this league that won't make it, right? And
right,
there's a reason for that. But there'll be draft analysts saying they are the next best thing in the world, and they use words like how was it generational talent. I fucking hate that phrase.
yeah,
He's
I
a
do.
generational talent at running back. They've said it about Ezekiel Elliott. Well, Ezekiel Elliott's turned into a fucking pumpkin because he ain't rolling no more. Um,
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
and the thing is, they say it so many times that eventually they'll hit. And it's the same with the whole Tom Brady thing, right? Someone's going to say that Father Time's caught up with him, he's done, he's fucking out, he's done. Eventually, someone's going to say it and he will be done. And they can go, I did it. But the earlier you do it, the more you better you look because you have that kind of credibility to hang your fucking hat on. You can turn around
right.
like,
Like he's been
5 years
saying,
ago, I said he was dog shit. And it's been 3 years since, and he's been dog shit every year since. I called it. I'm the man. I'm the dude. Maybe Shannon wants that. Maybe he wants a piece of that pie.
and I hope, and I really hope, because
But Shannon's humble enough
yes,
to eat it, take his medicine if he's proven wrong.
oh, absolutely. I'll give him credit for that. I just think now for this Bucks team, I said if you saw my video earlier, I sent a PSA message to the players, and it's not about me trying to tell them to disrespect the coaches. Again, this is from what I think is going on. I could be completely wrong. For all I know, the players and coaches could be fucking chums in there and just saying, "Hey, man, we're just having a bad season." But from what I'm getting that there's a lack of communication and inspiration with the coaches. They're so busy working on their like, okay,
How
it's
not
just
to lose.
yeah, it's the scheme. It's the scheme. They're not following instructions. I want the players now to look in there and say, you know what? To hell with that. Fellas, I know what they're saying, but when we get on that field, we need to make shit happen because this is why I say this is an opportune time for the Bucks and Brady. Let's say all of a sudden Brady just says the hell with what Bowles has to say right now and Byron. They don't know what the hell they're doing. We're gonna we're gonna work this out, guys. We're gonna make the call the plays and call this. What if the Bucks players do that? And like we find the media finds out, and the Bucks, let's say if the Bucks play the Cardinals, right? They beat that team 42-3. And 75% of the plays were Brady. And then on defense, 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a Glazer and you see the players are making shit happen, and let's say if the coaches bitch at them and say, oh, they're being insubordinate. If you're a Glazer and you're looking, you're gonna what do you think the Glazers, who do you think the Glazers are gonna look at more and be like, if the players came together and they personally beat the shit out of this team and they worked together and they riled up for each other, why are you guys here?
That's a fair point.
I'm just
Um,
saying, like, if you're a Glazer, what would you do in that situation? And the coaches cried to
fucking
you,
clean house.
you would clean house.
I
Okay,
clean house.
my
I
man,
mean,
see, slick, see, we here. You would, if I'm a
I clean
owner,
house. But I don't think that's ever. I don't think that'll happen. But here's the thing. Let's talk about this coaching staff. I had a
yeah,
little snoop at what because one thing that's been going around I saw on the internet is that Coach Bowles is kind of inherited this team. This is not actually his team, and he hasn't had a chance to get his fingerprints over it. And I'm fine with that. That's okay. It's a valid point. It's a
yeah,
valid point because if you are going to, in his mind, bring everyone he likes in. So I had a little look at who he's had in the past when he was with the Jets.
yeah,
So he's got Casey Rogers, who is with the Bucs as his defensive coordinator. Clearly, and he's also currently the defensive coordinator of the Bucs right now,
yeah,
or one of the coordinators of the Buccaneers. He's
yeah,
got Pepper Johnson as his defensive line coach, defensive assistant defensive line coach Ryan Solowak, outside linebackers Mark Collins, defensive backs Joe Dana, assistant defensive back Dalen McCutcheon, and then defensive quality control. So completely different guys than he had in the Buccaneers. So it would be very interesting to see what direction he goes because as all by all accounts, this is a Bruce Arians staff that he just removed himself on and went, all right, you guys have the thing,
yeah.
right? So maybe him bringing in more of his own people, a new offensive coordinator, what he wants. I think the best thing that could have happened for Coach Bowles is that Byron Leftwich did get hired, because then he can start afresh. But obviously, he didn't know he was going to be the head coach at that point. But what my point being is they would have had to hire somebody. We don't know if Bruce Arians doesn't just promote somebody on the spot that's already within the organization. So there's so many nuts and bolts to this. But this is the thing. This is going to be really interesting in our off season what we do, because if this becomes a dead season, which, let's face it, it's looking like it. But oh god, wouldn't it be funny that the Buccaneers became the first 8-9 team to win a fucking Super Bowl? It'd be fucking hilarious. It'd be like, oh my god, we're so bad that we won.
Yeah, but that's, you're not too far off of that, because by looking at the NFC, it's not that the only team that really will give us fear is the 49ers. But again, playoff times are different. There are times where teams will get their ass kicked in the regular season, and then that Super Bowl time and playoff come around, they'll fold. These are my people. I feel like they're going to be, if they get to the playoffs, they're losing the first game. Eagles. Yeah, hot take, the Eagles.
Oh.
I'm not.
Well, first round bye, won't they?
Yeah, yes. But when
I'm gonna be nice here. They'll play the Bucs.
Possibly, and if they do,
they'll play the Bucs.
Yeah, if they do, the Bucs will beat them, because I'm not sold on Jalen Hurts. There's a difference when playoff times comes, and the one thing I will say, that running shit is not going to go well for him, because Jalen Hurts, he's not complete yet. He wants to take, now he's gotten a lot better.
Oh, for sure.
But he's another one that sometimes plays the hero too much, and he's going to use his legs, and it's going to cost him in the playoffs. The Vikings, Kirk Cousins is just going to be Kirk Cousins. Dak Prescott, enough said. The Bucs legitimately, like you said, it's funny that we're laughing, but if they get into the playoffs, don't nobody in NFC want to play them, because you have Brady.
And also teams bring their intensity more. So the Buccaneers would be a lot more like, okay, now it's go time. This is what we're playing for, because they know they've had 2 years of experience in the playoffs where they won one last year.
Yep.
Should have won another, but that's irrelevant. They've won a Super Bowl. A lot of this team is still intact from winning a Super Bowl. There's Brian Jensen comes back. They get a bit more healthy, and some of these other pieces come back. It's not impossible to think it. Let's put the spin of positivity in. Anyway, I like what Edwin Hernandez has put. It seems like the ball got snapped before Gio was ready. Gio was still scanning the line to see where to go. You know what? There's no wrong answer here, because we don't know. Realistically, all we saw was the ball being snapped in his face and him not bringing it in. And that could be due to the fact that he didn't know it was a fake punt, or he wasn't ready for the ball to be hiked to him at that point. Both those arguments are very viable. But then you should have a safety net. I would say you'd have a safety net in there, because I know he can't call it, because everyone knows the ball's going to come to him. But there's got to be something where he would say to everybody else that he's ready. Whether he does something behind his back and pulls like a couple of fingers behind his back.
Yep.
Gives it like the okay behind his back, and then the punter goes, hi, and then the ball comes out to him, so he's ready. That kind of thing. I don't know, because I've never run fake shit, and I keep away from special teams.
And that's what I'm saying. Like you said, for the special teams coach, if you see, like you said, there should have been a body language. And if you see that the shit isn't working, the worst case scenario, timeout.
Mm-hmm.
You call timeout and go, you know what? Damn it. You made us waste the timeout, Gio, or whatever. You know what?
It didn't matter. Fucking Zach Taylor was handing him 3 timeouts. It didn't make no fucking difference.
Right. And
timeouts only matter when you need them. If you don't need them, they don't matter.
Right. If you were up 90-0, you can call all the timeouts you want. It doesn't matter. Yeah. And I like that Edwin also said, we were talking about the probability of the Bucs going to the Super Bowl. He said this could happen. Edwin, it can. That's why
I think that's why me and especially AJ are still passionate about trying to get this right, because we know the window's not dried up yet. Like,
no.
And people may think we're in fucking la la land. Maybe we are, but hey, for the fucking life of me, I'm picking my Bucs to win every single week, and I may look like a fucking fool for picking them. I don't give a shit. I'm a Bucs fan. I can't pick against them. Even if I know they're gonna win, gonna lose, I
Yep.
won't pick against them. It's against it. I'll feel fucking dirty. I'll need a shower. I need to scrub myself off. I can't do it.
Right.
It means I'm kind of secretly hoping that they lose just to prove me right. And I'd
Yep.
rather be right in the wrong way, in sense of going, yeah, I was right. I called that they fucking would win that.
And for all we know, guys, this could be they have three bad teams they're playing. If the Bucs can go off on a 3-game winning streak, that can raise the confidence. That can, because now they are aware the Bucs are not going to overlook the Cardinals. We know this, but they are basically saying, guys, our last 2 games are NFC South foes. First of all, we hate them. They are rivals, but we know we got to put them away. If I would say this, I bet you, I have a feeling the best game of the season of the last 3 games that they'll play their asses off is going to be that Carolina game. They know
Yeah,
what
they
Texas.
got embarrassed by Carolina.
Right. They know what. Well, and realistically, they want to beat them so they don't even have to worry about them in the playoff tiebreaker. So I wouldn't be surprised. That would be the game I feel like they're going to go all out on and say, whoop this team's ass, put them away. Because
And it'll be depending on what the Falcons do then on, to be fair. But I don't see them doing a lot, to be honest.
I got Detroit beating the Panthers. If Detroit beats the
Now,
Panthers,
Detroit are hot right now. Like they're a hot commodity
if
right now.
Detroit beats the Panthers, I think the Panthers will go into let's just play for the draft mode. Because what they'll do is go, you know what? We don't have enough what it takes. Because I already called, a lot of people were like, damn, you did say, people were telling me the Steelers were going to lose against the Panthers. I'm like, hell no.
No, they're too tough.
They're too tough. And then I said, and if they lose against Detroit, I told them they're going to shut it down and say, you know what? We don't need this. The Bucs, they'll, and if the Bucs get a good early lead, they're not going to try to claw their way back. They'll just, hey guys, it is what it is. But if the Falcons, they're done. They're cooked. They're done.
The Falcons have Ravens. I mean, it's 100% done if the big cat comes back and he's running all over the field and they're running the ball.
Yeah,
J.K. Dobbins back as well. Then it's done. It's not even close. Lions are hot. There's no reason that they can't beat the Panthers. The Panthers maybe starting to have a little bit of disbelief because it's getting a bit further away. They know and they need to start winning games. The Saints have the Browns. The Browns have their dodgy quarterback back, but they can still run the fucking run the shit out of football. Yeah. And their defense is suspect, but they're going up against a weaker team. So I see the only one I see the easiest win there is probably the Saints. And so then it goes into the next week. What we got next week? I'm going to wait for it to load up.
We play the Cardinals for Christmas.
We play the Cardinals. Let's say, for the sake of argument, worst case scenario, we come away with that one with a loss. We should not, because we're playing against a team that doesn't have its quarterback. We should decimate this team. We should not be letting them hang around. Whatever you did against the Bengals, you need to bring that fire, that play calling, that savvy into that game. And I can tell you right now, that Cardinals team will get blown the fuck out by the Bucs if they do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, because they have nothing to play for either. They know they're not going.
Yeah, they're out.
They're out. Yeah,
they're playing for pride. They're playing for pride, and they don't have a quarterback. So when you don't have a quarterback and you're playing for pride, the only thing that's available to you is draft picks. So you're probably going to try and
and here's the thing: they're not going to take deep shots. It'll be running the ball more and taking short passes. So that's why I also believe this will be a good game for the Bucs to get themselves together. And you just said one of the most important things that I forgot. Thank you, Slick. People are going to come back healthy. If Jensen comes back healthy.
Yes, we saw him taking snaps in pregame, just messing around. Like, we know that he was only in shorts and t-shirt or in civvies or whatever you want to call it. He wasn't uniformed up or anything. But it's a positive sign that he's doing this, which means he's probably doing stuff like this back in training, back at practice. So hopefully this means we get him back. Then we can start. The biggest conundrum for the Buccaneers, if he does come back, is what are they going to do with Hainsey? Do they move him aside?
Move him to the guard.
Which guard, though? Because Mason's not playing great either.
You can move. I would move Hainsey to the left side just so he can help out Donovan if Donovan has a shitty moment. And you can and Leverett could be a good rotation guy. Shaq is doing decent, but like you said, If Shaq has one of those games where he's not getting it done, you plug Leverett in with worst. If I'm just tell you this now,
Worst could be coming back. Yeah, he
if
was.
yep, he could have come back, but I'm glad that they held him.
Yeah. I
If
agree.
with Wirfs and Jensen on the field, that makes the offensive line literally 60% better because you got two guys that know what they're doing. I tell people it's not just because Jensen's physical ability, it's this up here. He
Mm-hmm.
has that. And you know who else will feel comfortable with that? Brady, the quarterback. He
Yep.
will feel so
Make
much
him
more
believe that he can
comfortable.
stay in the pocket that a little bit longer.
And I like the fact that Hainsey was a guard. So that will be natural to him.
Yep.
He's gonna ball out there. Oh my God. That's why look, don't nobody want to see the fucking Bucs in the playoffs. I'm telling you, if these guys come back, and then Antoine Winfield, if he stays healthy, he'll
Mm-hmm.
be back. Dean will be back. Vita Vea will be back. Hell, honestly, you don't need Vita Vea against the Cardinals. If you need to sit him out, rest him.
Or
You can
you dress him on game day and you use him sparingly, or you don't use him very much. You only use him if you need him. If they're
right.
struggling, then you go right, dude. You go in there. You do what you do. You anyway.
Right.
Going into next week, Bucks will play the Panthers. The Eagles will play the Saints, and will probably will expect to win that one because they're
They'll
going
be
up
the
against a
same.
good football team. Um,
They'll be
just
the
trying
same.
to see the others. I can't see Atlanta on here. Oh, Atlanta have the Cardinals, so that will be Bird Bowl will probably be the one that allows the Falcons.
A bird bath bowl. Yeah.
The Bird Bat Bowl. Yeah,
Yeah.
um,
Realistically, I see Atlanta. They'll pull it out because,
I
well,
think they
no,
will.
I don't know. Who is their quarterback?
There's no
Mariota.
lister right now.
Ugh.
Yeah.
So that's a 50-50 to be honest. That's a toss.
Let's look. I was trying to look at things from worst case scenario and build from there. So let's say they win that one.
Yeah.
That means they have a win. We said that they won't win against the team that they're going to play against this week coming up. So
Nope.
I just don't see it. I don't see that happening. So you're giving them one win in 2 games. Then they play us in the final one. So that's we've said the Buccaneers' destiny will come down to winning the last 2 games, bare minimum. They can get away with a loss. They can probably get away with a loss, but it can't be a divisional loss, especially if any of them are winning, because there's only one win. The best thing that can happen is they all fucking lose. Everyone fucking
Right.
loses. Everyone fucking loses, and we win a game. There's 2 games between us. We just got to make sure we beat Carolina, and our business is done.
Right. I agree. I do agree. And I know people are looking at us like y'all jumping the gun. No, no. This
No,
team
we're just
is
being
this
realistic.
is still a bad team, but the good thing is we're playing worse teams. And this is how you can build yourself up again. Everybody out there, we just talked about the possibilities. If Jensen comes back, that's a fucking wrap on that offense because now you can run the ball a whole lot better. And with Wirfs healthy, man, and then people don't realize when you put a lineman back to the position that they love to do, they perform better. So Hainsey playing a guard, can you imagine? He's comfortable with that. He
Mm-hmm.
would probably wreak more. Can you imagine seeing Hainsey coming in and playing the natural position that he's supposed to? Again, no team wants to see the Bucs in the playoffs. I tell people that all the time. Look, I guarantee you, because from what it's looking at right now, we most likely will have Dallas. You can see Dallas is not Dallas is who we always thought they were. Again, the NFC is wide open. The only team that will stand between us is the 49ers. That's it. I'm calling it right now. That's your NFC championship, Bucks and 49ers. And that will be a hell of a story for the Bucks to go back to San Fran because you know it's going to be there because they have the better record. They have a better record,
Yeah, because they lead the division.
and they beat us already.
Yep. I was just kind of hoping that someone else was still in the forefront in there. I'm like,
Now
no, they're gonna win.
they
They're
clinched
gonna
their
win next
division
week.
already, but
Yes, they
this
did.
time it's again Brady will find because with his playoff time, you know Brady just he cuts it on. Even when we lost last,
You get a different Brady. And I think you'll get a different Buccaneers team because they'll be
yep,
galvanized, thinking, "Hey, we may have limped into this motherfucker. We could still win it because we got just as much chance." Remember, the Cincinnati Bengals were 10-7, and
yep,
they went all the way to the Super Bowl with Nobody that believed that they could win it, except for them.
Yep.
This
And that's
Buccaneers team know that they can go win it. They did it when they were 11-5.
11-5.
They did 11-5. So a win's difference. You could argue they
Yep.
will. I believe they will be galvanized, and I'm liking that we're talking positively because at the end of the day, we want our Bucs to win, and I don't want to get negative until it's over, and it's not over just yet.
It's not over. It's not, we were just frustrated because yesterday
Yeah.
we saw that this team has the potential to beat a good team. It's just how they just didn't come. They didn't play 60 minutes. They played 30 minutes of football, and that's why they lost. You play 30 minutes of anything. Football is 60 minutes. You got to play 60 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And in the playoffs, you're right. The Bucs have experience. You know who on defense is going to lead those troops? Levante David. He's been there. Levante wants to win. He ain't
Mm-hmm.
trying to go back. He gonna be like, hey, and honestly, in the playoffs, Devin White, for whatever reason, he becomes that guy.
And another thing is, if I was in that locker room and I was a Buccaneers player, it's like every time you go to the playoffs is an opportunity because some of us may not see the playoffs again. We may not. There's no guarantee we will. Next year we could stink it the fuck up and not see the playoffs for another 5 years.
Yep.
This is the opportunity now to go get it.
And you can get
and other players will come, and they will come on the cheap. So we can rebuild. We got the guys to rebuild the roster if we need to. Let's make the most of this. Like, well, this was supposed to be the last dance. It feels like the fucking biggest pullover.
Right. I'm with you. I was thinking in the beginning of the season.
Well, unfinished business was the tagline, wasn't it? He came in with the fucking unfinished business was written all over the fucking place, and now it's can we finish this business? Can we just fucking get this done?
It ain't the last dance; it's the last chance. It's like, what are you gonna do? But with this team, I feel I have the confidence in them, and this is why I do want the team to play for each other, because there is going to be a moment. I'm telling you this now. I hope I'm wrong in the right way, but I can clearly see this team, if they look at the coaches and they give them bullshit as the game later on. These last 3 games, somebody's gonna say, "Fuck this. We're not doing this. This isn't right. We're gonna make this call, coach." If you want to complain, and I feel like Brady might have to pull out that card that he never wants to. He might go, "Look, if you got a problem with it, coach, take it to the Glazers." And if the Bucs perform at a level where the Glazers are looking at the coach like, "Yeah, you might want to just roll with this," or the door is right there. And I bet you you will see, like you said, we'll see a whole different team, especially Brady when playoffs come. Because I solely believe the Bucs will get there, not just because it's just because really at this point, it's just how bad the rest of the NFC South is. They're not good teams. Their quarterback, they're in disarray. The Bucs will get there, but again, when they get there,
we don't play anyone who's comfortable with their quarterback yet.
Right.
Not one team is comfortable with their quarterback.
Exactly. And when we get there, it's just going to be a whole nother level. The Bucs are going to they're going to get it together, and they're going to go, okay, like you said, just because we limped in here doesn't mean we have to limp.
You got as big a shot as anybody else, realistically, because you're all at the same. It's not like you get like a 5-point advantage because you came first seed. The only thing you get is home field advantage. At the end of the day, it's still the same fucking dimensions of the field. Now, that's how I would say it. So, guys, we may be coming into our hostile environment. We may not be wanted here. That pitch is still the same width, it's still the same length, and it can still be fucking scored on.
And that's what they did to win the damn Super Bowl. The Super Bowl season, they played in different places. They played
only play one game at home, and that was the Super Bowl. That was the big one.
And that was the most important one. And it's like you went into New Orleans, you whooped ass. Well, you went to Washington, whooped ass. You went to New Orleans, you whooped ass. You went into the damn tundra, Green Bay, you whooped ass. So that shouldn't matter. Like you said, if I'm looking at them, I was like, hey guys, look at who we're playing. This is where a coach has to believe. I would literally go, guys, if whoever we're playing, if this is the Cowboys, this is fucking Dak Prescott. I know this is
won here before.
Yeah, we've won here before.
Oh no, they've got to come to us, haven't they?
Yeah, and we won there before too. We won the opening last season. Again, I would look at them and say, guys, they're nothing special. We played them before. Oh, Parsons, Fournette, chop his ass up again.
Get him on your highlight tape.
Exactly. If I'm Fournette and we play the Cowboys, I would literally send that to him on Twitter since Micah likes to respond. I'll be like, hey, remember this? And
We're
just to
coming.
piss him off.
We're
So,
coming.
yes. So I'll just, I'll wrap it up in a minute. But the for the Cardinals, I think the Bucs will get on the right track. And I'm hoping that they just I don't want bad for Byron. I just want Byron to really learn from his mistakes and go, okay, the last 3 games, he should go all out. Like you said,
You
if
got it. You got it.
you should go all out and go, you know what? We're
I
gonna
put
throw
everything on the bucket. I put everything on the field. I put every piece of paper out there. I did everything I physically could, because you can turn around to yourself at the end of the day and go, I did everything I could. I wasn't good enough.
Amen. I mean, like,
I now have to go and learn. I now have to go and figure out what I'm going to do next. As am I going to continue being an offensive coordinator? Am I going to go to college, or am I going to do this? Am I going to do that? But it's a learning. Coaching's always learning. Whether you're at the top of the game or the bottom of the game, you're always learning. I'm like you. I'm hoping that he's figuring out what's working for him, because it's really the first time he's really been a offensive coordinator with the shackles off, so to speak.
yeah,
He's gonna make mistakes. I just wish they wouldn't be this catastrophic, if I'm brutally honest.
facts.
For sure. If he was part of a Jameis Winston team that looked like he was going to that a little bit of hope, then yeah, you can take that. You can take growing pains. He's going to figure some shit out and he'll be right. But look, he knows what works because he's been working with Brady before. He knows what works with Brady. He knows. We all know the play action works. We didn't have it We didn't have it the Super Bowl year until mid-season, and they installed it. They installed all the motion because the way his team is set up is you go out and you play. So you go up, you line up, and you play. There is no motion. There is no this. There's no that. And Tom Brady likes all of that. He loves motion. He loves play action pass because it confuses and contorts opponents, so you can manipulate matchups. It also buys you a bit of time because everyone's got that first read. It's so easy to fake somebody out, because if your bread and butter has been, what you've been showing is we try and run the football a lot, then you're going to bite on that. When you've got that play action in, you've still got to make a decision. You need to know. Your eyes have to tell you. Play action's great because you're forcing a team to get their read. They can't just say, they're going to play action pass it. They're always going to pass it. No, you've got to see that ball snapped, that ball go in, and you go, motherfucker's got it. Now we go down and play that. But that gives them a second. It gives your running back a second. He's got the ball. He's clamped down instead of you coming down hard on him straight away. So you might have a rule. It's like, we'll play the run first, and then we'll pop. If we see what we see, we then go into our drops or our coverage.
All right.
And that's when you can manipulate them. That's when you're going to be able to manipulate the matchup. So that's why play action works. It's just there will be times occasionally where someone will think it's a pass play, and they'll just pin their ears back, and they'll occasionally get home. But that doesn't happen all the time.
No. And I want to throw something like this is like a Christmas fantasy thing. What would you do if you found out right after Christmas, let's say the Cardinals, we win, but then we get another Christmas present? What if Gronk says he wants to come back? What would you like? What would your expectations for him be if he were?
Zero. He's going to be a blocker. We don't know what condition he's in. He's been chilling. Like, it's not the same, when we got him in that the 2020 season, it took him a good while before he was good. He was a great blocker. As soon as you put him on the block, he was a great blocker from the moment he set foot on the Buccaneers football field. But he couldn't do anything but block. And he worked his way into it. So I don't think he's going to make that much of an. You'd need him to come back now.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, really, before him to really kind of hit that playoff stride that you kind of want him to get to. We don't know how much weight he's lost. We don't know if he's gained fat or anything. I'm not saying he's like sat there just eating cheeseburgers or whatever, but he's not in game shape. There's a big difference. So I would pump the brakes on that. All I want to hear is that we get healthier. We get healthier. I'm happy with that, because I'm like, okay, Ryan Jensen's going to help solidify the line. We now can put Robert Hainsey somewhere else. He's going to, whoever the Buccaneers coaching staff think is the weak link at guard, they're going to get replaced. He's going to come and do his job there. because he was ranked the 17th best center. That ain't bad for someone who's never played center before.
No, and
So
that's
respect on that.
yeah, absolutely. I
We've got a player that we can move around into a couple of different spots. Put him at guard if he goes left guard, right guard, whatever works for you. I
yeah,
think you're probably right going left guard, but then you'd have to have a look at seeing if the left guard will be better at taking Mason's job. I don't know. These are things that the Buccaneers coaching staff, they've seen the tape, they know what they like, so they'll go, right, we'll plug him here, plug them there. That solidifies the line a bit more. Maybe you can run the ball with a bit more success now because you got a bit of nastiness on the line. You got a guy who's a bit more comfortable playing the guard position than anyone else at that point in time. It opens things up, and then defensively, Vita Vea comes back. You got Tristan Wirfs back on the offense as well, so that gives Tom Brady that bit more. But I got to give a shout out to the guy on that line, Josh Wowles. He's not done a bad job. Like for someone who's it's got to be fucking difficult to go from, oh, I got to step up for Tristan Wirfs, the guy who hardly ever gives up a sack, and they're all gunning for me because I don't play for. I'm a fucking backup. He's held his own. Yeah, he's given up plays. Of course he will. He's a fucking backup. He's gonna not be great.
Right. That's why he's not a
But
starter.
exactly. Otherwise, he'd be fucking signed somewhere else tomorrow.
Yep.
But we get healthier on that offensive line, and I think that's big. The skill players look like they're pretty much healthy. They're not far off. They're pretty much there. There's no real big lingering issues. We want to see more of Cade Otton because I think that he can be a Gronk-esque guy. I don't think he's Gronk because I think that's good. That's a huge pair of shoes to fill. But you can use him. I think using him more. And Keeft, when he has played and he has balls thrown at him, he stepped up because he was down as a guy who could only block. Apparently, he only had 3 passes thrown to him in college.
Yep.
He's had more in the Bucs. And 2 of them are touchdowns, I believe.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I say this. This is what I want for Christmas. Jensen back. If Jensen can come back and play in the Falcons game, just so he can get some game shape.
Yeah, I want him to get a game under him because he's gonna be rust. He's gonna have rust on him, yeah, because he's not gonna be game shape. He's gonna need a game, and potentially you want him to go up against someone like the Falcons, who could potentially at that point in time only have 5 wins. Because they're at 5 wins now, right? So it's not impossible that they're already at 5 wins. So they ain't playing. They'll play because of rivalry, but they ain't playing to kick our ass because.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Look, if Jensen and Wirfs is on the field, Slick, I'm messaging you every day saying we're taking this shit all the way because nobody wants to see that because now continuity. I'm telling you, once we've seen it already. When Brady doesn't have to worry about getting sacked.
Brady needs a good. Let's be fair, yeah. Brady needs a good line. You can tell that.
And that's
if he doesn't have a good line, he tends to be a bit of a shambles. We've seen that. We've seen this historically this year. He has struggled, and it's because he's scared of getting hit because he's getting older and older and older, and his body's frailer. Obviously, at 45 years old, you get hit, it's going to hurt a lot fucking more than it did when you were 35. And he's a pure pocket passer. He'll step up, he'll step left, he'll step left, he'll step right. He ain't running nowhere unless we see it now and again, but it's very, very rare.
Yeah, and it's very.
He knows he's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So
it makes a big. And
mm-hmm.
I'm fine with that. And look, if they're healthy, that you know what else? If Julio's healthy, that's gonna be a big thing in the playoffs. If I'm the Bucs right now, you have Evans and all these guys. Oh man, just get Jensen back on the field.
You know what the best thing about this is, and I just want to add this when we look at coaching incompetency, you put this Buccaneers team when they're fully fucking healthy, which means this the only one that's really you've got 1 or 2 guys, you've got Shaq on IR and you've got the other guard. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Stinney. Aaron Stinney. There are only 2 guys that have meaningful meaningful snaps that are on the team. You can't turn around and say we can't win games because there's no excuse. You've pretty much got a healthy roster.
No excuse. Again, you're right. With this, I think we get if Jensen comes back and he plays in Atlanta, the Bucs will be on a better trajectory to take it there. So I think.
Does that mean the playbook opens up a bit more because there's more that they can do because he's more comfortable or what have you? Maybe this is the shortest routes that they've got on the fucking thing, and they go, "We'll use this is our version of the quick game, or they with a quick game." Who knows? There might be more there. I don't know. I'm being hopeful. Let's wrap this puppy up, man, because it is getting to
Yep.
about the hour. It's over the hour mark. Edwin
Yep.
Hernandez, I want to thank you for all the comments. You've been an absolute stud. So big
Thank
shout
you.
to you,
Thank
brother.
you, Edwin. And thank you, Chris, from earlier. That
Yep.
was great questions. And again, Slick, always. You guys, you can find me on YouTube at AJ Turnip. It's about bucking time. Instagram, flex_Luthor813. Twitter, A Turner_24. And of course, it's always a pleasure to talk Buck football with Slick because he knows his shit. And we got this. And I'm glad it turned into a positive outlook. We
started negative and we're like, no, we got this.
Yes. So on that
Hey,
note,
we in out until we out. We in out till we out.
exactly. We out till we out. On that note, go Bucks.
Go Bucks. I'll see you, brother.
See you, my man.
Okay, guys, that's the end of the aftermath. It's much appreciated. I won't be doing across the Bucking Pond, as it will be Christmas Eve, and I want to spend it with my family. So yeah, I won't be doing that, and I probably won't. By extension, that means I won't be doing Book Wild, as I will have to get up early because I'll have two extremely excited children, a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old, who probably will be up at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I'll be honest with you, Buck Wild finishes at 4 in the morning for me, so it's a non-starter. Should be back pre-game. I will be a little sold because I'll have had my Christmas dinner. I've been having my Christmas drinks. I'll be having my Christmas drink on. We have a very boozy Christmas in the Proberts household, so I might be in a bit of a coma. I do not know how I'm going to get through the game, to be honest, because there'll be a lot of supping going on. There'll be plenty of beers. There'll be some Baileys, some Irish cream, all that good stuff. But without further ado, guys, Bucks on me, Bucks on free. 1, 2, 3, go Bucks!